Okay.
Hi, Eiléen. Welcome to Smart Match TV podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you again, Tim.
It's good to see you. It's been a while, and I am looking
Here.
forward to picking your brain about everything I can about matchmaking, about the industry. We're gonna have fun today. Um, Please introduce yourself a little bit formally.
Yeah,
Where
no
you are.
problem. Well, my where I am doesn't sound like my accent at all. I'm originally from New York. I'm half Asian, half Korean, and half American. I've lived all over the world. This is my ninth city and my fifth country. Much like many of the expats that are based here in Dubai, we have a story that's kind of a quilt. We're cosmopolitan, international. Um, People that are either ethnically mixed or by experience or by education or by work. So it's a very unique space that I have over here. I've been in Dubai almost 20 years.
20.
And yeah, and still, I'm a business and marketing consultant helping businesses set up here in the region, particularly in Dubai, because I have a wide network. So I'm connector. And one of the reasons why I got into matchmaking is because I cross all of these different industries and have really interesting conversations. So unlike most people that are really stuck in either their industry or they don't really get to meet people outside of their bubble, I'm able to be very fluid about that and then also give my tips and tricks on how to do that. So date coaching is a very big part of my business. I'd say I'm a holistic matchmaker. I'm not a dating service or a matrimonial, marriage service. We dig deep. I studied sociology and psychology at Boston University, and that all of these things that I've done sort of like crystallizes itself into what I started as DubaiMatchmaker.com. And this is something that, if I may, describe very, very different from other parts of the world. My target audience are mature expat professionals that either live or come through Dubai regularly. And so this is a very unique type of, but lonely place as well, equally lonely, because you're usually very ambitious, usually very highly educated and need to be stimulated in some way, but they have a hard time having somebody help them in the personal life. So I work with a lot of women and men, particularly women, on the date coaching side of things, where they are very successful, and then that's very much rewarded for them. But then it's hard to go into your feminine and hard to be soft and vulnerable, which is what is really needed if you want to establish a human connection. I hope I've answered you.
Oh yeah, more than I was expecting, even on the first question. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I know, right?
But let's continue with this. It's great. It's a great energy. So I have a few things I would love to dig into. For example, in terms of your clients. All right. What are the main problems you're solving for them? Can you describe to our viewers the typical problem of a client when they come into your business, and then how do you progress from there, and how you end up with the results that they want?
Well, I would say that Dubai is a very transient place. It's becoming much more of a global hub, but because it's in this region, a place where a lot of Western educated people prefer to be based out of Dubai and then maybe go to Africa, maybe go to other parts of the GCC or in this region. You have a lot of people that travel. And so they have a hard time having consistent relationships and being able to go out on dates. So I have strategies that are around that, part of which is having these online dates, and not being afraid of them. And the way I look at things, and this is also my approach, having my business background, which I apply then to help singles date here as well and meet people, because strategic partnerships is matchmaking, establishing what you need and that connection. I really encourage people to embrace technology. 100%, I'd say 150% of single people say, I hate the apps. I've never met anybody like, oh, I love them, and that's why I'm reaching out to you.
100%.
Yeah, and you'll hear this over and over again. But when people have this sort of block because of whatever their experience is, I have to change their way of thinking around how technology works today. And this is something I'm sure SmartMatch also does, because you embrace technology in all forms and in making those human connections. So how I look at things, and this is also in my consulting side of things, is that we are the more we get into the future, it's always going to be online, offline, online, online, however it starts, but you're going back and forth. So we have to have two personas, one that's digital and that you are proficient in that, as most of us already have, whether it be on social media or on those webinars or in the meetings and the emails and whatever else AI as it grows, as well as how to approach people in real life. So you have to have two strategies because they're all you, and you shouldn't be afraid of one or the other.
I haven't heard that way. Anyone presented it that way in my interviews or like in my conversations with matchmakers, to be honest. It's a very interesting way to present.
I'll give you an example.
Yes.
I'll give you that maybe some people can relate to. You might write a book, let's say Harry Potter, and that's offline. And then you make a movie, and that's online. And then you have a theme park, and then it's offline. You're constantly going back and forth into the metaverse as well as into the real world. And they merge into one. And you have to be proficient in both, because people, even if they meet you in person, they're going to look you up, and you have a digital footprint, whether you make that footprint or not. So that's where personal branding comes into it. And I help people with that.
Right. Digital footprint, almost like working on a digital avatar, right? Because that's what people see. This is your digital personality, right? How deep do you go into that? Like, do you actually help them to build it, like to fix
Absolutely.
it, like remove certain stuff?
Yes.
Unwanted information or unwanted photos from online avatar or online, let's say, footprint. How deep do you go to prepare something?
We go very deep. I mean, that would be like A/B testing, because you would try like, okay, if I come across, how about I change my photos? How about I change the story that I talk about myself? How about how I'm more flirtatious? The way I look at how people come across, nobody wants super serious. You have that in your life, but you also don't want somebody nobody's going to be reaching out to somebody like myself, spending any time and energy and money for frivolous relationships. That's why I say I'm not a dating service and I'm not an app. So I cross that. The way I look at myself is, and where the industry is going, because I know that's probably what most people are thinking as well, is to be more holistic and to bring all parts of your life into one and not have them so segmented, because then it becomes a very lonely place to be. Some people can't get out of that box that they put themselves in, and they've been very successful. And then the more successful they are, the less likely they're willing to change that. But if you don't change that, you're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And we all know what that means.
Does that mean that you're making them open up to dating on Zoom, for example, or
Absolutely. Let's say you have somebody who's there are different levels of comfort that people have with putting themselves out there, and I'm very empathetic to that, but at the same time, if you're moving around a lot, set up digital dates, set up like Zoom dates, Zoom, Teams, whatever it is, and then maybe have a bottle of wine with you, maybe have some cards with you, something to talk about. Make it a short meeting. It doesn't have to be a long meeting, and you can have multiples of that. And then you have something to look forward to when you come back to whatever your base is, and you can meet in person if you're traveling a lot. Equally, if you've met somebody that's fabulous, right? You don't want to wait a month and a half before you see each other again. So you have that consistency. Consistency is huge. I think people overlook consistency. Everybody wants loyal and trusting and all that, but I think consistency is a huge ask.
It's almost like a process. It's an ongoing process. It's not like, it stops when you leave or starts when you come back. It's
evolving. Yeah.
You're helping them to embrace technology and blend it into also the personal brand, which is the offline brand, right? As well, like brand.
Yeah.
Or
it's personal branding. Absolutely. I'm a personal branding expert, right? I'm also a beauty expert in my previous life as a professional makeup artist, advising brands and developing product, working with media. So, also image consulting. It's all kind of wrapped up into one. I have many careers, and this is one way of blending all of those interests that I've had and all those things that I've learned and experiences that I've been through, and am able to help people all in one place. So the way I look at it is I'm as matchmakers. We are a concierge. We're a marketing agency. Because we set up dates and everything. That's the concierge aspect of things. We're coaches. Like we keep you on regularly thinking about your
Even
life.
I would say even like a headhunter, you know.
Recruitment is everything. I mean, you hear this all the time.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly think that matchmaking profession evolved into something absolutely very demanding and very high skill based. It's technology, like you said, but it's also a very versatile set of skills, including psychology, including coaching and
Yes,
business, understanding of business. If you have
physicality.
clients, sorry.
Yeah, physicality as well. Cheerleader, because it's ego. You're dealing with a lot of people's ego, whether they be damaged from before. And what I try to do and how I try to explain it to potential clients or when I speak to people about our industry is that we are trying to get that exit interview from our clients, from these single people, because they don't know what they're doing wrong. Otherwise, they would change it. So they're kind of lost by the time they come to us. So I've tried everything, and I really just need your help at this point. And
What
so
have they tried? What have they
sorry,
tried? Like, for example, what
oh, they've
have they?
tried the apps, or they've been on dates, whatever, and they've been married before, or they were in a long-term relationship, whatever it is. But they're hitting a wall of some sort, right? So what I try to do is like, okay, when was your last relationship, and how long ago was that? How long was your last relationship, and how long ago was it? I get a lot of people who are like, oh, I was in a 5-year relationship 10 years ago. Okay, right there's a yellow flag. And I exist in these yellow flags because the yellow flag means that something happened, whether you're hiding or something traumatic, it brought up something, a trigger in you. Let's try to uncover that so that it's not blocking you. You're not self-sabotaging as you continue forward, because it's not just about meeting somebody, which is everybody says, oh, I just haven't met the right person. That's not true. Usually it's how you date, how you talk about yourself, how you think about yourself. And then therefore it goes from there. So we kind of unpack that.
Eileen, I think it's a appropriate time now to go into maybe one or two stories. I love those stories, before and after type of stories,
Yeah.
Hollywood stories. So, can you, without you don't need to share names or anything, but can you give me one or two amazing stories, like maybe difficult story that turned out to be a total success, maybe marriage even.
Well, I mean, recently, I just talk about like my most recent client who was like so thankful. So she was married before, she was really taken advantage of. And she stopped dating for like 10 years and she never really looked after herself. When she had married, a lot of people in this region are arranged marriages, depending on the culture, or they are part of the communities, let's say her spiritual community in India, in this case. And she's extremely talented. I mean, like one of the very few government workers that, within the Indian government, as well as working for the government over here. And she's a professor as well. So she has such a big heart. She helps students all the time. I mean, she just loves her job. And her ex-husband totally took advantage of her, couldn't understand her. They couldn't connect on that more heartfelt level. So eventually he took everything and she had to start all over again. But she had the job, right? By the time she came to me,
Any kids?
no kids, fortunately,
Four
right?
kids. In that situation, I would say, well, you can look at it different ways, but okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, she works with high school students to graduate students on up, because she's a professor, and she has a big heart. She has a lot of students, a lot of children in her life. Put it that way.
Does she still hope to have
No, that was never her main goal. It was just, I think a lot of people follow what they're supposed to do as opposed to what their calling is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They,
yeah, yeah.
if a lot of women, especially, they think if I'm a good girl, if I do everything right, then why am I not, appreciated? Why am I in this situation? What did I do? And it's not that. The world is a different place. We're not in our small village anymore. And there's a lot of different factors that go into it. We're living a lot longer. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Anyway, she had never ever been online in terms of like apps. She's like, oh no, I couldn't possibly. And we got over that hump. And right away, she started loving dating. I mean, she was very intimidated about dating, period. before this, right? Because she didn't really date, didn't know how to date.
Okay.
Anyway, so the success
Yeah.
story is she met somebody who's her perfect match, and they were like, let's delete the app in front of each other, and they're just moving in together. He's basing himself out of Dubai, and they're meeting each other's families and kids, and I mean his kids that are grown. It's just a wonderful story. And she's like, I wouldn't have even thought about this. In fact, she was the opposite, like thinking that the apps could not help. But apps are only a tool, just like SmartMatch is a tool. It's only one way of organizing yourself, and you have to have a strategy for everything. Every touch point. When we're in marketing, we think about every place that that your product or your brand touches the customer, and it has to be consistent, and you have to be aware of that. And so it's the same thing with dating. It doesn't matter how you meet somebody. It only matters that you meet somebody, and then what do you do with it?
So it's a lot that goes into it. It looks like there was quite a bit of cheerleading in the beginning, right? Just
Yeah.
to get her to be, well, cheerleading and coaching, just to get her to believe again in the results of dating.
Well, we had to do a photo shoot. She'd never done a photo shoot before. Prior to the photo shoot, we had to do makeup, and then we had to do like a styling session as well, because she had no dating clothes. She didn't know what it was. And she didn't know how to fit her figure and stuff, because she was just practical, which is fine, but that's not something that's going to make you stand out. So anyway, I'm going off piste here.
Yeah, no, that's what it is about. I love it, and usually our viewers love that kind of off the rail.
She's a different person. She'd get on, because I do the date coaching via Zoom calls, digitally like this. So we're regular, and they don't have an excuse not to be able to log right in for that hour every week. Because as a trainer, it has to be consistent, right? And I need you to focus on this. You can't tell me it's a priority if you can't make an hour a week a priority. And then you have homework, you got to get out there, you got to meet people. You have to open yourself to touch points. And sometimes it's a big deal, and sometimes it's small little changes, like getting your coffee instead of making it at home, like getting out and interacting.
Out of comfort zone,
Absolutely.
So in this case, looks like it was more of coaching and just strategy.
Yeah.
As opposed to actual matchmaking. Am I right? So
we went through the, every time she met somebody, their profiles, we went through like the conversation, what to do, how to read human behavior, basically. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't know what was we went through modules of like, what is a red flag? What is it? Like how to stay consistent. And a lot of women have a problem saying no. They are people pleasers. So we have to do that in a way that they feel comfortable and set boundaries. So it's just really interesting, because what's a real shame, and I think a lot of other matchmakers will say this as well, is that sometimes you can be so in your box that you're saying no to people that could be a really wonderful match.
Oh yeah, I hear this all the time. And I heard stories from some of our amazing podcast guests. Julie Furman comes to my mind. She said it like, how many times she actually insisted, like, no, you gotta open your mind. And she has a wonderful way of saying it, like, you have to open your mind, like, have nothing to lose, go out there and do the thing. And it works. After some days, they actually find that connection, because it seems like, and that comes to us too, guys. We're very visual, we are, women are made less visual, but they have other criteria. So
you got to capture their minds.
Yes. And you can easily make a judgment and pass on a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful story, and I hope everyone who is listening is going to get inspired and just maybe take that step forward and go for it. Just
don't judge a book by its cover. You never know. I mean, I was just talking to one of my clients the other day, and the fact of the matter is, you can have all this. I want them to be tall, because all women want tall men, and all men want young women. It's like so boring. And also I said, well, you could, honestly, your type would be, if they made you laugh every single day, I'd marry a troll. All right. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, because that person becomes your person, So if you're saying no too early to things, you haven't gotten to the heart of things.
Yes. I remember a little personal story. My ex used to say, "You know what? So you make me so angry, but at least you make me laugh sometimes."
That's not saying that you're a troll, Tim, at all.
But it was interesting the way she put it. But you make me laugh. Okay, so I'll just leave with that.
No, but you got her heart. You've got, that's the happy. You got a
Yes,
smile on your
yes,
face, and that's how you
yes.
want. I think people get together, and this is also how I encourage singles to look at things. You want to find your person so that you can find your you live your best life. That's really it. Not live their life for them because you're the accomplice, you're like the helper. No, you live your life and they live their life, and you want to live together and make each other better
That's right.
at
That's the
different
goal. I
stages
mean,
of life.
we all deserve a good relationship, a partner in life, and I think that's the whole goal
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Then why have a
Well,
relationship otherwise?
it's true. It's true. Let's move to technology a little bit. We have talked about technology in different, like overall high level how you use technology. I suppose one of the reasons we're here, you also use technology for your database, right?
Oh yeah, CRMs are everything.
Database so, and a CRM. Some people don't even know what CRM is, so
That's true.
we can expand on that a little bit. It's customer relationship management software, guys.
Yeah. That's where you put all your contacts and all your notes, and then you can
Yeah,
do magic
and
with that.
your database, your profiles, your
Yeah.
clients, your follow-ups.
Pictures, your videos. Hmm.
So, if you don't mind, please share with us a little bit about your journey with Smart Match. How you found us, what you were maybe using, if you were using anything interesting before, and how it changed your business. That also helps our viewers a lot.
Well, I mean, as a consultant, I usually use I help my clients set up their databases, their CRMs. So for me, when I set up this, let me give you a little bit of background of this
You,
region
you
in
do you do
matchmaking.
CRM consulting.
Yes, not CRM consulting so much as like a business leader's coming over here to this region. They need to, have their brand known. So I do different levels of strategy and then implementation, whether it be helping them through the user journey, depending on how they're set up. It could be a business, a service, whatever, but they want to integrate with and engage the community. So there's different ways to do that. And I have a wide network of media and professionals and vendors that, depending on what their budget is or what their needs are, that's when I'll come up with a go-to-market plan and things like that. But I'm getting off the matchmaking.
Oh, that's this is a whole other conversation we could have next time.
Oh,
This is
wonderful.
very interesting.
Happy to do that. And Dubai is such um, a hot tomato at this point, so many people because of the tax reasons, but then you have to be careful of that and we'll talk about that another time because
That's
there's corporate
a
taxes.
whole other topic. There's a many
Yeah.
topics we can.
But I wanted to explain a little bit about how matchmaking was viewed in this region. So when I came here in 2007, I came here via London, Paris, New York, Seoul, a lot of places. So I have a big reference. What how matchmaking has been around forever. And I don't know how much you've explained this to your audience in previous videos, but matchmaking is one of the oldest professions. And I would say because it's a power move, whether you are royal families or aristocracy or the feudal system, and it's what you can bring to the relationship. And they didn't used to live that long either, so it was really important that they supported, and they didn't travel that far away from their families or their village either, so then it was a prestige thing as well. And this is every culture around the world. There's nothing new about that.
Almost, if not all the cultures. It's
It's
true.
all cultures. They do it in different ways, but like in the Muslim culture, they don't really date. It's like agreed upon by the families and et cetera, et cetera. And that's this part of the world that we're dealing with. But then, you have a lot of Muslims. There's in any religion, there's a spectrum between conservative and liberal, and whatever that means to them and whatever is important to them. So I'm very respectful of how people, what they want and why they want it. But I will question them. Like, why is that important? Because if they put themselves too much in a box to find somebody from some village, like this, it's going to take you a lot longer, if at all. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
you've changed. You can't just go back to your village and pick somebody and bring them into Dubai.
We have so many interesting cases here. Faith-based matchmaking, for example. I was just interviewing D'Angelo the other day,
Yeah.
and D'Angelo Moles. Wonderful interview. You can find it on YouTube. But he's matching Christians, and he
Hmm.
says like they would some of the times the people he matched and they found love, they would almost have zero chance to meet. They go to different churches. They would never meet each other. So matchmaking brings people together on so many levels.
Well,
And then
because you're leading with your values as opposed to leading with just looks. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Because you're getting deeper with the matchmaker who's having those conversations. It's a lot less intimidating, and you start to enjoy yourself more because you're in a safe space. So I mean, there's a whole psychology about that. But back to like what it was viewed here in the Middle East, you don't see matchmakers here, and the reason for that is because of that. If you're Muslim, it's just viewed as you're not supposed to date. Dating is like prostitution or some level of that. So that didn't
interesting.
have the licenses, didn't have like, nobody wanted to start it up over here. So I was a regional scout for an elite agency based in New York and London for the past decade. And I was like, please let me open up something here. You guys have all of the automations and, the modules or whatever, the knowledge. And they said, no, we don't want to take the risk. When the regulations here became more progressive about 3 years ago, where you can live together and have babies out of wedlock without going to jail. And this is a big deal. This is a very new thing, and it's very progressive only for Dubai. It's not even for the federal in terms of the United Arab Emirates. Not every emirate has this, and of course not in other GCC countries. That's when I said, okay, it's time. There are too many lonely people here, particularly during the pandemic or during, after, and whatever. And if you talk to recruiters here or HR, they say the number one reason that they lose talent is because they can't find somebody. They can't find a personal relationship. So I really wanted to address that with what my skills and my interests and my ability to communicate with people are. And that's why I launched it here. So then it goes into technology. So when you're talking to these people, they are a higher caliber because they've traveled, they've moved here. We have like 90% expats. I do get Emiratis as well, so it's not just that. But
90% discount. Okay.
yeah, I
90%.
mean, but this is the terrain here in Dubai anyway.
Yeah, it's
And it's
quite
growing by
common.
leaps and bounds. And that's why the business side is one thing, right? But I address also like the character of somebody. So, it's the Wild West here. And that means something for business, but it equally, in equal measures, has a lot to do with how people form personal relationships. You don't know who to trust, for example. We don't have a credit card database where you can like check somebody's credit rating out, which is like how a lot of matchmakers will check out the background of somebody in the
Playground.
US.
Yes. That's
In this
possible.
region, we don't have that,
No. Okay.
right? So I guess I didn't answer your question. So I
Oh,
put
the database. So what would be interesting to know, like specifically for your business, especially with all your business background and marketing background, operations and all that.
yeah.
How did you find Smart Match? What was your decision criteria to start using this particular tool that we offer to matchmakers all around the world? What attracted you to that? Now that I know you're pretty sophisticated with technology, so that's even very flattering. So like the fact that it shows us with so much knowledge. So that is absolutely exciting for me to hear the criteria, the whole journey.
You guys are great. You guys are great, and I'm happy to spread the word. The thing is, and I'm learning as I watch some of your videos that you could be using this for other things, and hearing how other clients of yours are using it to matchmake businesses and stuff. And that would be like a 2.0 or something. But I use it specifically for personal relationships, Dubai Matchmaker.
Yeah.
How I heard about you guys is the rumblings. So one of the things that I'm a lone wolf out here in this part of the world and setting this up and taking the risks, or just, doing what I'm doing. And I explained a little bit of background, but right away I was like,
Sorry to interrupt you, but I have to confirm we do not have tons of Dubai matchmakers. I gotta say that actually not at all.
right, right. Oh, it's a tough market. It's not an easy thing. A lot of people are like, oh, I've matched my cousin with my best friend or something. It is not, and it's much more expensive because we don't have the foundation that a lot of other cities have already with matchmakers or just with dating and the images of it. So I have to create something from scratch, and I have to change the concept of what dating is. I have to explain myself. I have to not explain myself, but explain what our industry is. A, that we exist. B, what we do and why, and everything else.
So you're
So
like a matchmaking evangelist over
I'm a
there.
matchmaking evangelist, although it's been here for like millennia. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And then I have to get the
and you're
trust.
still trailblazing this, right? It is
Yes,
still quite a let's call it undeveloped marketplace, I
it's a
guess.
very exciting thing. I feel so passionate about it because it's so needed. There, we need human connection, and however we bring that into that. I mean, from marketing side of things, the community engagement is massive. The strategic partnerships, and just helping people understand themselves and how they present themselves in person as well as online, and just being consistent and changing that narrative in their heads so that it's positive if there's a negative. I'm not trying to make somebody into something they're not. I never
Correct.
would. They have
Holistic,
to embrace
very
it. They have to
holistic.
be ready. I don't see this as a hard sell. I see it as if somebody's ready and somebody wants this or needs this and approaches me, then I'm here to help. But if not, then, I don't believe everybody has to be with a partner to be a fulfilled person. I
Yeah.
believe that if that's something that you want, there are ways to go about it, and there are tools and there are strategies. Okay, so
Your approach to matchmaking is holistic. It reminds me of my osteo. It's like the way she approaches me. As a holistic, as a human being, not necessarily just the shoulder problem. It's more like the whole body. She's trying to connect the dots of what I do, how I live my life, how I sleep, how I eat, etc. So it's deep, and it's very much education. I would
yeah,
say education, self awareness, self learning. I'm pretty sure that they have to embrace the challenge of actually learning more about themselves, facing their fears, facing their uncertainty in terms of, oh my god, like anxious, then I have to talk to a stranger online, I don't know, etc., etc. So yeah, it's you are breaking those barriers,
yeah.
and it's not easy.
Well,
It's
so
not.
I went ahead and I earned my certifications from the Global Love Institute.
Absolutely, yes.
I wanted to find a community. I know I'm not going to find it here, so I have to create that. I found myself some mentors, which is Carmelia Ray, Hunt Etheridge, Michelle G. They certified me for date coaching. At the time, they had their own they had a program. So I just learned from the best,
They
and
are
that's
they are the best in the industry.
and
Yes,
they
they all are.
long term, helping people from different walks of life and they have different styles as well, very
They are.
different.
Yeah, Carmelia is very different from some
Yeah.
from everybody else. I
And
love
Hunt
Carmelia.
from a male point of view, and Michelle G from she's ex CIA, I believe. So
Oh,
she really studied the human behavior because she was part of, like, government programs.
they have to. They have to.
Yeah,
Yeah. By the way, they're all of our clients. So I guess you
I
heard
know.
something from them. Yeah.
Yeah,
You were gonna say from rambling. So I guess you learn about Smart Match from them.
absolutely. But I also had a free, I have a CRM or a database, matchmaking database through the Global Love Institute as well.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
looked at other ones because obviously I'm over here. Do I really need a separate one for, matching using AI? And I was really impressed. First of all, the journey that I took with you guys were immediately responsive, and when you're learning new technology, it and you have so many things on your plate, it can be it's not easy, another one, another app, another, and then as you're making these adjustments and stuff, what I trust you guys with is that I feel that you're the gold standard for matchmaking CRM technology, and that because you have so many clients that have been long term and then new, you're seeing problems as they develop, and you are being reactive and problem solving. So that's wonderful, because things that I might not need right now, at least you guys have thought about it and you're like, hey, you might need this. And I'm like, oh, that I didn't even know that I could solve that problem, because I didn't realize that I had that problem that other people had. So for me, I see you guys as being evangelists and being at really the top of the market and being proactive versus waiting for me to come to you with a problem. I mean, of course I have that too, but
Yeah, and obviously you were referred to me by our amazing success manager Mikola.
oh, I
So
love him.
if you don't mind, could you tell me what problem he helped you solve? I know that there was he reached out, and I know that he actually worked with you on a specific problem, and which led you to our interview, which is what our little trick. We try to help the clients first, and then once they're super happy, then we try to invite them to
Ah,
interview.
that's that's your MO.
That is that
You
is a
got me.
little know-how. Yeah, well, let's be honest, right? It's business, and we have to provide value, and then we can maybe
I
ask for
respect that.
a favor
I
in.
respect that. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
so
Nicola has
Nicola,
helped me with small problems from like adjusting something that I couldn't figure out to bigger problems, like when I started to do events, and then there's another service that you have, and just kind of training me on this as options for when I need it. Because I was doing, and initially I was doing, of course, I'm thinking marketing, let me do some events and stuff. And I did a couple of events, and I'm not doing that anymore because that's not my target audience. But I had to learn that because, of course, I have restaurants and high end, and they're all like, oh, take the place and we'll invite. And I had really wonderful events. But what I quickly learned is that the type of client that I need, or that is my target audience, are not going to attend and have their face out there to like a party. Do you know what I mean? They're
yeah,
much more private. They're much more confidential. That kind of clientele, which is my bread and butter, is not going to be at those types of minglings. Do you know what I mean? And then the
yes,
second thing that I learned quickly is, like all of us learn, it's mostly women versus men. And then the third thing is that the people that go there and they pay whatever $20 to attend your event, even if it's double that, even if it's triple that, they expect to be matched on the day. And that's not what as you can tell, I'm a holistic matchmaker. So there's no way that I can on the fly meet somebody on that day and then, and if it was a client, I would just match them directly. I wouldn't wait for like a whole bunch of people.
but there is something about event-based community. I've interviewed already a few matchmakers, and they use events extensively, not necessarily for matchmaking, but they build community using
I agree
events.
with that. I
They
agree
bring
with
people together, they break down the barriers, they make them get out of their comfort zone, out into event, meet some new people, and healing. In fact, even healing at the events, that's what happens. They are starting to heal, starting to feel more social, so it's interesting how events, and just generally speaking, community.
So I have to say, I loved it. I mean, I had a blast every time I had these events, right? So it wasn't that I didn't enjoy the events, and it wasn't that I didn't have quality people. It was just a lot of effort that was not going towards the goal, which is the business.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I mean,
yeah.
as much as I want to do everything for free, I can't. And there's only, it's that one of the difficulties with our business is it's very personal. Somebody trusts you. The first match is between the matchmaker and the client or the potential client, right? So
Yeah.
it's really one-on-one. It's so bespoke. It's so individual. You cannot search for kindness, for example. In your CRM, no matter how sophisticated you make it, you can't search for humor. You know what I mean? And that's what people want. And so I have to manually one by one, and that's fine. Then
How do you
it's
how
hard to
do you
scale.
how do you do that? So one by one, how do you write down
My
great
notes.
humor, great
Well,
humor?
yeah, I
Um,
mean, but it's when you get a client and you've interviewed them and you've gotten the intake,
you screening them
then I
properly.
use your app to say like, okay, narrow it down to, I mean, especially if religion and non-drinking or whatever, right? Whatever the mix
So
is.
those are the easy criteria: drinking, non-smoking, smoking. But then, how do you get into
I have
psychology?
to call them up and I have to have an interview like this, and I have my questions there. I have their profile, whatever they put. Sometimes it's extensive, sometimes it's not. Depends if they had a deep dive with me before, then it's more
That's
easy
why
to
you
come to
do the
mind.
CIA stuff, right? The
But that,
CIA, the CIA stuff. Like, do you
yeah,
screen
no, it's intense. Like,
Screen them. Are they real?
it's not for everybody though,
Yeah.
and then that's fine. Go to another. I'm happy to refer to other matchmakers. I find that one of the things I love about my industry is it's very collaborative. Not everybody in the industry is collaborative, but I choose to be. I think if there's love to be found, I want to be part of that if I can help.
Spread the love.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't think of it as, and all the matchmakers. I've worked with, collaborated with Rachel Greenwald. Do you know who she is?
Yes, of course,
So
of course.
she's amazing, and trying to help her with some of her clients that come through here and have homes and whatnot. And she did an interview with Fortune magazine where she did some sort of statistic when she started like 30 years ago, right? And interesting, she went to Harvard Business School with my brother, so it's like they're classmates.
Oh,
Strange coincidence, right? And she said
there are
that when,
signals everywhere, you know.
yeah, that's just God and angels pushing you, like you're doing the right thing. But
100%.
she said that when she first started out, there was like maybe 200, matchmakers in the U.S. about that time,
100%.
and
Yeah.
now there's like 6,000 and
At least,
growing.
I think more like
You would
closer to.
know.
Yes, yes, that's the numbers. It's growing industry. Talking about growing industry, we're kind of nearing the end of the interview, which I don't really want to stop because it looks like there's so much we can talk about. I mean, we can probably do it offline one day or online again. You know, you never know. We will chase you again to get you into the room. But can you share with me how you think the future of matchmaking? It could be regionally in Dubai, or just generally in the world, United States, everywhere. The future of matchmaking. You mentioned something interesting, right? Like it is one of the oldest profession, and I agree with you, right? In all the cultures, my culture, every culture, people say, yeah, you should meet this person. Even if it's not professional, it is just part of. That's how we meet people. You should hook up. You should meet
There's
with
a
a.
trust element. We're trying to build trust.
Correct, correct. But the future of professional matchmaking, how do you view it? How is it going to change in the next 5 years, let's say? How technology is going to affect it, how knowledge is going to affect it, because we are the knowledge. There's more and more knowledge. There's more and more science, etc. So how do you see this coming in?
I mean, we're moving away from a knowledge-based culture anyway because of AI. AI has owned that and it's way better at it than we are. So we are more into the connections, compassion, connections. We have our skills that can't really be taken away. So I think that the more that we can embrace what makes us human and our vulnerability and just kind of understanding ourselves better, we're able to show up in the world, whether it be online or offline, better as well. And by better, I mean like more authentic to yourself. And this is something that evolves. And I tell my clients this as well, which is we're always talking about setting boundaries and being consistent and and communication, right? These are like the pillars of any relationship, whether it be a colleague, a child, an adult, any relation to you. You know what I mean? But this doesn't mean that doesn't change. And so I think trying to get people to think about boundaries differently and not as boundary like a wall, but like a moving fluid thing, you know?
It's boiling down to education, learning.
No,
Is that,
it's
that
I think it's finding your flow, which is different
finding the
from
flow? Okay.
acquiring knowledge.
Okay.
Because I work with a lot of, or I speak to a lot of
But does the finding the flow?
intelligent people,
Okay.
who know a lot of things, but they miss where the flow is.
The emotional intelligence part, right? This is what you're referring to. So learning more about your own boundaries. That's also science, in my opinion, because that has progressed a lot. The self awareness, the science of understanding, like it's a science. Understanding yourself, psychology. This is also
Those are
progressing.
tools, Tim.
Yeah.
I find that those are tools, a way of encapsulating a concept. But what I think of is that we need more of and that we need to focus on, and that is something that's very personal, like love constantly changes. Another word would be grace. Grace with
Grace,
ourselves and grace with the people that we encounter. Do you know? We don't have to. We want to.
acceptance, kindness, I guess,
Because we
to
beat ourselves up. You can like be, I'm such an idiot that my relationship didn't work out, or whatever it is that little child in you. And of course we go into psychology a little bit where
maybe
there's some sort of trigger.
finding satisfaction first in your own self. Is that
Yeah.
where we? Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
you have to give yourself grace. If you cannot give yourself grace, how can you give grace to somebody else, and that empathy and that understanding and that vulnerability and that trust, and enjoy the process?
And
It's important to enjoy it.
if you say that that is what's going to change the next in the next 10 years, I totally agree with this, because I think this is totally almost untapped. It's in the very early stages of how we treat ourselves and how we view ourselves. It's very early stages, and it's going to take a long time for us to become kinder to ourselves. And I think then the revolution, the breakthrough will happen. We'll be much more kinder to others as well. It's
Right. But
just
it has to be a goal. It can't just be making money and checking a box. And you find that all the time with people that are like, I want a partner, I'm ready. Okay, great. Right. And they want to check that box, and they want to have this profile, and they want this, in their Model T. They have to have this, and this, but they're not looking for grace. And that's when I have to be like, okay, well, where's the grace for yourself?
yeah.
And then that starts the conversation in a totally different way.
And if that happens, I suppose then that's when they're ready for really next level relationships.
Yeah, it's not just a partnership, it's a relationship.
That's where it happens. The magic happens there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
My personal story, I had to go through this myself. I had to stop being that, like, check, oh, but I provide, but I do this, but I have a good job, to hey,
Transactional.
yeah, very transactional.
Well, that
First,
makes sense, because that's what makes sense. 1 + 1 = 2. That makes sense to somebody who has a logical mind. But the human heart is not logical.
but I was looking for the grace somewhere else.
Where were you looking for? In work?
Outside.
Success?
Not inside. I was looking it outside. Someone else, it was responsible for that, not
Ah,
me. I
yeah.
was expecting, look, don't I deserve it, but I was not getting it.
Entitled.
Entitled, right?
Yeah.
So that's the revolution, you think, right? That is
Well,
where
I mentioned that before about women who are like, but I did everything right. I'm entitled.
I'm entitled.
I'm entitled to a beautiful life. And why did my husband leave me? Why did, not just women, but why did this person leave? Why did this, I'm entitled. It's like, just because you did everything right doesn't mean you're entitled.
No, nothing is. You have to embrace the impermanence and embrace the uncertainty. The only actual certainty is the uncertainty.
Well, we know
It's
that.
it's. I agree with you. We can end here, because I believe that the progress, the revolution, the breakthrough in humanity, generally humanity, and matchmaking is about relationships, right?
Yes.
Building relationships is going to happen there. And I think there's enough information and wonderful people like yourself who are coaching patiently, because you have to have a lot of patience for this. I mean, just can imagine some of your stubborn clients going like, I don't need that. Give me the date now. I'm
Yeah.
ready. Give me the dates. How many? Like, I will sign the contract. I want 5 dates. I know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's not very productive. It's a
Well, that's why I have to talk about it, what matchmaking actually is. It's not just cards, where you're making a match like Uno or something.
It's not just a numbers game. Not
Yeah.
just a numbers game.
Everybody says it's a numbers game, and I don't believe it's a numbers game.
No, I think it's a lot of work on yourself first, getting, being like learning to be graceful and compassionate to yourself, and then from there radiating it. And then
Yes.
I think then everything else happens from there. Like, you won't have to work very hard to attract
You're in flow. Yeah.
Yes.
But not
Yeah.
only that, you're enjoying yourself, because even, you're at peace with yourself. You're in the here and now. And I mean, I can get woo woo with you, but
Yes. Okay. No, but
that's
it's
what love is. Love
it's a
is woo woo.
Yes, it is, and it's not describable, and you don't have to work hard on it and push it necessarily. It just happens. But for that, I think you need to work on it. I'm. Oh, well, that's a whole other. We should talk about it.
Strategy.
It's a strategy, yes, and it's holistic strategy. It's not definitely like a business plan. You know what I mean? It is a holistic strategy.
Well, you could start with a business plan, like business. What I mean is like with a strategy. Okay, get out of the house. Like be open to new experience. You can start, depending on the person that you're talking to.
Taking certain actions,
Yeah, yeah.
action. How people can find you, Eiléen? I think that this interview might actually bring you some. You just never know. It might bring you some
An
clients.
interesting conversation, if nothing else.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can just go to DubaiMatchmaker.com and fill out a profile. That just gives me some basic information, completely confidential. I never share it with anybody. And that's another thing I like about SmartMatch is that you have that trust, that confidentiality, especially when you have such sensitive information. And then we set up a 15-minute, intro call, and then from there we go to, proposal and see how we get along. But I think it's really important to have that touch point where, if we get along and I feel like I can help and you feel like you want my help, that's what I said. It's not a hard sell.
If we're talking about your potential clients, which are, in my opinion, lucky people, because it's not just matchmaking, it's a life-changing experience, in my opinion.
Hopefully, yeah.
Do they have to be located in Dubai or planning to relocate or?
Yeah, I mean, if you for matchmaking, it has to be in Dubai because I mean that's where the concierge but I mean I collaborate with matchmakers from all over the world anyway, so we share, not
Right.
not without the client's knowledge.
So maybe somebody who's planning to locate
Yeah,
there, just to prepare. That would be
yeah.
I would love to have you as a wing person in Dubai, because if
Oh
I'm
yeah,
going, there's so many things you can help in, not
yeah,
just matchmaking, actually, business. Uh,
absolutely. But I mean,
Also,
like for
yeah,
the date coaching, it could be from anywhere in the world if somebody wants to talk to me.
date coaching on Zoom, right? It could be,
Yeah,
and that's a great idea. So, ladies and gentlemen, please contact Eiléen for that. You don't have to be even near Dubai. You can be anywhere else. You can be in Montreal,
yeah.
where I am.
I just have to be awake.
Right, right. Hopefully it's after Eiléen had some coffee, right?
Yes, exactly.
um, Eiléen, one more thing. In terms of other matchmakers,
Yeah.
in terms of could you give us a tip for maybe a matchmaker who is aspiring and starting a business? We have lots of those type of folks. I have to say honestly, they're
I love
starting
that.
they're starting their business, and they're always looking, oh, well, do you know somebody, I always send them to Matchmakers Alliance or the Global Love Institute as a reference, like a standard reference as well. But what would be one tip for starting startup matchmaker,
I think what people have to get out of their minds is that this is, I mean, everybody brings their skills to it, whether you come from real estate, whether you come from like a nursing background, whether you're a marketer. There's so many different things that people bring to the table when they become a matchmaker. And I think the skills that you learn through the Global Love Institute or however you get certified, you can take with you because it's really about engaging people and having those conversations and going a little bit deeper. But I think you need to be really organized. And that's why I think having a CRM is extremely important, and to set that up properly and then to test it and not be afraid of that, like just get in there, so you can track those conversations that you're having through
I
that.
didn't ask for plugin, but here you
I
go,
know.
guys. Get the right database, get the right CRM, Smart
Get
Matchup.
organized, because otherwise it's too much. I mean, like one client, let's say you have a 3-month membership and you guarantee like, okay, I'm going to introduce you to 2 people a month, right? So a total of 6 people, right? That doesn't sound like too much. Okay, and I'm charging a lot for it, but you have a right of refusal, like 2, 3 people. So that 6 is like now 18, people that match your criteria at a minimum, right? So there's 18 people to match with this person within 3 months. That's a lot of work, and people don't
That's
really realize that. I mean,
that's a
or more. You know what I mean?
that's a lot of work. Way
It's a
too
lot of
much.
work. And that's what I mean by people don't understand the business that much. They just think I'm just going to put you on a date as like a dating service or an app, and it's much more involved than that.
All right. Wonderful
You
advice.
only need one person anyway. You just need to match with one person. You don't need 100 people.
And you obviously already said it many times today, and it's very deep, is to prepare people for match before they even go for matching. They
Yeah,
have
to
to.
date better. I don't know like how you're dating, but we learn about that through the modules and like at our time together through the coaching, because I get to see like, oh, okay, this is where your insecurities are coming out, and maybe you can hold up. Like somebody who, I met a wonderful client. She works with autism, because a lot of people that work with autistic kids or
Oh yeah, we have.
charities and stuff,
Yes, yes.
they get into it because either their children are autistic or somebody in their family or some reason like this. Now she was having a hard time dating, and she's a wonderful person, big heart, and you really want this person. She's not even autistic, but she does such a wonderful thing, and you're like, what is the problem? The disconnect was she's saying it too soon. Oh wait, I didn't know about that, and like, should I be worried about, so like, don't lead with your weaknesses or whatever that could be perceived as a weakness. Only lead with your strength. Start to have a good time, and then build feelings.
This interview is packed with gold, golden gems, all over.
Yeah,
I hope it gets to some
the
right
right
person,
ears.
the right time, the right ears. Right, that's how you say it, in the right ears.
We say from your mouth to God's ears, we
Yeah,
say.
ears, right.
I'm from New
It's
York. That's, I think, Jewish.
Yes, yes. In fact, it's funny you mentioned. I just interviewed a matchmaker who matches not for dating purposes, but it's a matchmaker in the UK. It's called Sennies. So they match families with autistic kids with nannies,
Oh,
and
right.
she herself was diagnosed as well, and that's why she started the business. And it's just a wonderful story about the whole journey that she went through to build the business, and the kind of problems she's solving. She's very educated. She did the masters in this field, and just like you, it's very holistic approach. She works with families to help them to learn to be compassionate to themselves. A lot of times they feel completely down, they feel guilty, even to some cases, they feel completely helpless, and because imagine, you have a kid, a special, special situation, right? Your kid is autistic, and you put a lot on your shoulders. So she literally helps them to just get out of the house, you know having a nanny that you can trust, who is actually a quality educated nanny for your case. That's what she does. She matches nanny with specific skill sets, specific background, specific experience to a family with autistic kids, and
Yeah.
gives them that room to breathe.
I
I
mean, you
was
think about it. When you're a new parent, do you have any children, Tim?
I have three.
Okay. So when you first bring that little precious thing home, you don't know what you're doing. It's not
Yes.
like, I mean, you can prepare all you want for it, but like, unless you have like 10 brothers and sisters or something, which most people don't anymore, that you take a nanny just to like do the nighttime would be, big, because you don't know if that baby's gonna, like, is that cough for real? I mean, you don't know anything. So imagine you have a special needs on top of that. So, and you never know what it's developed. Yeah, it's a really tricky thing and so personable. That sounds like a really wonderful
It's a
service that you have.
wonderful mission, and I was very, very touched and impressed. It's also on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out. It's
Mm.
Then we have matchmakers who actually match autistic kids, like young adults. That's interesting cases too. That's a challenging matchmaking case.
One
Matchmaking
of the
case.
things I request, so I work with Muslim um, women specifically that have
I'm
never
sorry,
dated
I've got real quick. Peter, I'm having a wonderful interview. I need another couple of minutes, please. Sorry.
you.
All right, talk to you later.
Let me see what I was going to say.
Sorry about that. It's gonna go on a camera. It's not gonna go in the bloopers. It's fine.
Right. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, because I have a back to back and I'm 12 minutes late.
Listen,
Let
I'll let you go. I'll let you go then. I forgot what I was going to say anyway, but great talking to you, Tim. Let's have our own conversation about offline or online, whatever, about business that's separate from matchmaking. Um,
100%. I'm so interested in getting more into the business conversation of the interview. 100%. So I'll
so
email
many
you.
people from Europe and Eastern Europe and whatever, and everybody's coming here. Africa, whatever, because of the tax and the security and because of the elections, geopolitical situations. So I mean, I can talk to you about all those things. That's why I feel like I have so much to offer here. At first I'm like, okay, when I got divorced, I'm like, I got to get out of here, right? But then I realized, like, I've been here for so long, people need me. And
I
so,
only hear amazing things about this the Dubai area, and the people who go there. They go the quality people that go there to
well,
live.
I don't know about that, Tim, but
I mean, the ones
let me let me be
okay,
real.
well, the ones I know who opened the business there or went there, they're very good friends of mine. You know,
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody has different experience. It's a very frustrating place because you have this. One thing you have to know about Dubai, and this, I hope you cut this out.
okay, let's wrap up this thing. Hold on 1 second. So again, one more time, thank you for being here. This
My
everything here
pleasure.
is gonna go in the interview, and I would like to thank you very much for your time. And everyone, please contact Ellen for any questions related business, even business in Dubai, living in Dubai, even and matchmaking in Dubai. So I think you're gonna be very pleased if you contact Elaine. It's my feeling today, and this is just been wonderful interview with so much information to digest. Thank you so much. Let's end it here.